A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. This weekend, the fragile U.S.-brokered ceasefire in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas faced a significant test as tensions escalated. Late Saturday, Hamas returned the bodies of 2 deceased Israeli hostages, a move that comes just days after the release of all living hostages and nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. The U.S. State Department issued an unprecedented warning against Hamas, citing credible reports of a planned attack on Palestinian civilians, which it described as a direct and grave violation of the ceasefire agreement. This warning introduces a new layer of complexity to an already tense situation. The Israeli military confirmed the transfer of the remains of the 2 hostages received from Gaza via the Red Cross. One of the deceased was identified as Ronan Engel, 54, by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office on Sunday. This transfer aligns with the ceasefire's first phase, which mandates the return of all hostages, both living and deceased. While the 20 living hostages were released earlier in the week, the process of returning the bodies of the 28 known deceased has been slower than anticipated. Hamas has cited widespread destruction and unexploded ordnance as barriers to locating and recovering all remains within the initially agreed-upon 72-hour timeframe. Israel has accused Hamas of deliberately stalling the process, which has led to the decision to keep the Rafah crossing sealed. Netanyahu's office clarified that the crossing's reopening will depend on Hamas fulfilling its obligations regarding the hostages and the deceased. This decision directly impacts the flow of essential humanitarian aid into the devastated enclave. In a dramatic turn of events, the U.S. State Department issued a public warning to Hamas late Saturday. The U.S. has informed the guarantor nations of the Gaza peace agreement about credible reports indicating an imminent ceasefire violation by Hamas against the people of Gaza. The statement emphasized that such an attack would undermine the significant progress made through mediation efforts. The nature of the alleged planned attack was not detailed, but it follows reports of Hamas executing Palestinians accused of collaboration with Israel. It remains uncertain how these internal actions would technically breach the ceasefire agreement, which primarily addresses hostilities between Israel and Hamas. However, the strong language from the U.S. suggests a low tolerance for any actions that could destabilize the fragile peace. Should Hamas proceed with the attack, measures will be taken to protect the people of Gaza and preserve the ceasefire's integrity. The current truce, brokered by the U.S. with support from Egypt and Qatar, marked the end of a devastating 2-year war that began with the Hamas-led attack on southern Israel on October 7, 2023. This attack resulted in the deaths of approximately 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and the abduction of 251 others. The subsequent Israeli military campaign has had catastrophic consequences for Gaza. Accusations of ceasefire violations have been exchanged between both sides, with Gaza's media office claiming Israel has violated the truce 47 times, leading to 38 Palestinian deaths. Conversely, Israel points to the delays in returning the remains of hostages as a breach of the agreement's terms. Experts view the current situation as a critical juncture, with the U.S.-brokered peace plan being the most credible framework to date, albeit fraught with challenges. Scholars at the Brookings Institution noted that the Gaza deal remains fragile and leaves many questions unanswered. Key issues include the kind of peacekeeping force that will ensure security and stability, as well as guarantees for transitioning from Phase 1 to Phase 2 once the Israeli hostages are released. The central unresolved issue remains the disarmament of Hamas and the future governance of Gaza. While the peace plan envisions an international mechanism with Palestinian participation, specifics remain vague. The recent U.S. warning adds pressure on Hamas, indicating that its internal actions are under intense scrutiny and could jeopardize the entire agreement. For the families of the hostages, the wait continues, with an Israeli organization supporting these families stating, "We will continue holding weekly rallies in Tel Aviv until all are returned." For the people of Gaza, the ceasefire offers a desperately needed respite from violence. But the ongoing closure of the Rafah crossing and the threat of renewed conflict leave the future perilously uncertain. The world is now watching closely to see if the guarantors of this fragile peace can navigate these new challenges effectively. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, So hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.